Hi, this is my week 1 progress for my game project. The game is a tower defense game inspired by Plants vs Zombies. In this video, I'll walk through the project structure and explain the 3 core scripts I wrote this week: the road manager, the player unit, and the enemy unit. The project has 3 folders. The scenes folder hosts 3 scenes files, the road, player 01, and enemy 01. The scripts folder has the 3 GD scripts files that control the game logic. The assets folder hosts the sprites for the background, the player character, and the enemy. So basically, those are my hero characters. This is the background, and those are the enemies. Okay, let me start with the road scene, which is the main scene. In the scene panel, you can see the root nodes is a node 2D with the background sprite, a camera, and a set of marker 2D nodes. There are 45 marker nodes arranged in a 9x5 grid. These are the positions where player towers can be placed. There are also 5 enemy spawn points on the right side of the screen. Now let's look at road.gd. At the top, I preload the player and enemy scenes so they can be initiated later. I also declare 3 key variables: grid positions, store all 45 grid markers; spawn positions stores the 5 enemy spawn markers; and occupied is a dictionary that maps a grid index to whichever player nodes is sitting here. In Ready, I loop from 1 to 45 to collect all the grid markers by name, then do the same for the 5 spawn points. Finally, I pick a random grid index and call place player to put the first tower on the field. Place player instantiates a copy of the player scene, sets its position to the chosen grid marker, adds it to the scene tree, and record it in the occupied dictionary. In progress, I use a simple timer variable. Every time spawn timer reaches the spawn interval, which is 3 seconds, I reset the timer and call spawn enemy. That function picks a random spawn point and instantiates an enemy there. So the last part of the road.gd handles drag and drop. When the player left clicks, I call try grab, which checks all occupied grid positions and look for a tower within 40 pixels of the mouth. If it finds one, it removes it from the occupied dictionary and sets it as the dragging player. While the mouse moves, the tower follows it. When the bottom is released, drop is called. It calls nearest free position to find the closest unoccupied grid slot, snap the tower there, and record it back in occupied. If all positions are taken, it falls back to the absolute nearest slot regardless. Now let's look at the player tower. The scene is a character body 2D with an animated sprite, a collision shape, a projectile sprite, and 2 area 2D nodes, one for the projectile's heat detection and one for the attack range. The script uses an enum with 3 states: idle, attacking, and cooldown. The exported stats are max HP of 100 and attack damage of 25. For combat, the projectile speed is 300 pixels per second and the cooldown between attack is 1.5 seconds. The enemy in range array keeps track of which enemies are currently inside the tower's detection zone. In Ready, I initialize health, play the idle animation, and connect 3 signals. Animation finished for triggering the cooldown, body exited on the attack range to clean up the enemy list, and body entered on the projectile's area 2D to detect hits. In progress, if a projectile is active, I move it to the right every frame. If it travels past x equals 500, it resets, meaning it went off screen without hitting anything. When an enemy enters the attack range, it's added to enemies in range. If the tower is currently idle, it immediately calls start attack. Start attack sets the state to attacking, resets the projectile to its starting position, makes it visible, and plays the attack animation. When the animation finishes, on animation finished is called. The state switches to cooldown and a 1.5-second timer starts. After the timer, I filter all any enemies that may have been destroyed. If enemies are still in range, the tower attacks again. Otherwise, it goes back to idle. If the projectile hits an enemy, it calls take damage on that enemy and resets itself. The take damage method on the player side simply reduces health and calls quick free if it reaches 0. Finally, the enemy. The scene is also a character body 2D with an animated sprite, a collision shape, and an attack range area 2D. The enemy has 3 states: walking, attacking, and cooldown. Its health is 60, attack damage is 10, move speed is 50 pixels per second, and its attack cooldown is 1 second. These are all exported, which means I can tweak them directly in the Gdots inspector without touching the code. In physics process, while the enemy is in walking state, it moves left by setting its x velocity to negative move speed. I use move and slide to apply the movement. If the enemy goes past x equals to minus 700, meaning it passed through all the towers and left the screen, it removes itself with quick free. When a player tower enters the attack range, it's added 2 players in range, and the enemy transitions to attacking. In start attack, velocity is zeroed out so the enemy stops moving and the attack animation plays. When the attack animation finishes, the enemy deals damage to every player currently in its range. Then it enters cooldown for 1 second. After the cooldown, if players are still in the range, it attacks again. If not, it resumes walking. The take damage method works the same as the players, reduce health and destroy on 0. To summarize week 1, I built the core game loop. The role sim manages a 9x5 placement grid, spawns enemies on a timer, and lets the player drag and drop towers. Each tower uses a state machine to detect enemies, fire projectiles, and manage cooldowns. Each enemy walks across the screen, stops to fight when it reaches a tower, and cleans itself up when destroyed. This is the foundation. Everything else will build on in the coming weeks. Now let's play a little bit. So basically, I can move my hero here, like everywhere inside the grid, and it will attack when the enemy is in the range. And you can also place it elsewhere. And this is when they meet each other.